The last walk of a legend, Yu Menglong's final farewell. It began with a silence. Not the kind of silence that fills a quiet room, but the kind that grips the entire world at once. At exactly 6:42 a.m., a single post appeared online. No warning. No build-up. No preparation. Just 8 words. He's gone. Our light has left us. Within seconds, fans of Yu Menglong froze. Within minutes, confusion spread. Within an hour, the internet exploded. Yu Menglong was not just an actor. He was emotion. He was memory. He was that face people turned to when they needed comfort, heartbreak, romance, or hope. From his unforgettable roles in historical dramas to his quiet, deeply human performances, Yu Menglong didn't just act. He connected. So when the news hit, it didn't feel real. Fans refreshed their screens again and again, hoping, praying, it was a mistake. But then came the confirmation. And with it, the collapse. Within hours, social media turned into a digital ocean of mourning. And millions of comments flooded timelines. Old clips resurfaced, each one hitting harder than the last. Fan edits, once celebratory, now felt like final memories. Hashtags trended across continents. Hashtag Yu Menglong forever. Hashtag the last walk. Hashtag legend never dies. People who had never met him felt like they had lost someone deeply personal. Because in a way, they had. 3 days later, the official announcement came. A private farewell ceremony will be held. But the final walk will be shared with the world. That one sentence changed everything. Fans knew this wouldn't just be a funeral. This would be a moment in history. The sky was gray. Not stormy. Not rainy. Just heavy. As if the world itself refused to shine that day. The streets leading to the venue were filled with thousands. No chaos. No shouting. Just quiet tears. Some held flowers. Some held photos. Some held nothing at all, because they couldn't hold themselves together. Black cars lined the entrance. One by one, familiar faces stepped out. Actors, directors, co-stars, friends. But something was different. These weren't celebrities today. They were just people in pain. Eyes swollen. Voices gone. Hearts broken. And then, a hush fell over the crowd. Because the final vehicle had arrived. The doors opened. And there was the casket. Simple. White. Surrounded by flowers that seemed too alive for the moment. As it was carried forward, something extraordinary happened. The crowd didn't cry louder. They didn't scream. They didn't rush forward. They stepped back. As if giving him space. As if understanding that this moment was sacred. Inside the hall, everything felt unreal. Soft music played in the background, one of his most iconic theme songs. On the screen behind the stage, clips of his life played in slow motion. His first audition. His shy smile in early interviews. The roles that made millions fall in love. The laughter, the tears, the growth. And then, a final clip. Unreleased. Unknown. A simple video of him looking into the camera, smiling softly. No acting. No script. Just him. And he said, "If you're watching this, then I hope you're smiling." That was it. That single sentence destroyed the room. People who had held it together until then finally broke. Because it felt like he was still there. Still thinking of them. Still caring. And then came the moment the world would never forget. The casket was lifted once more. Slowly. Carefully. Gently. As it moved down the aisle, something incredible happened outside. Thousands of fans dropped to their knees. No one told them to. No one planned it. This happened. A wave of respect. A wave of love. A wave of goodbye. As the final walk ended, one truth became clear. Menglong was gone. But not really. Because legends don't disappear. They transform. Into memories. Into stories. Into emotions that never fade. Because what happened after the funeral. The hidden messages. The unanswered questions. And the emotional aftermath that shook fans even deeper. That's where the real story begins. The funeral had ended. But the story hadn't. If anything, that was when everything truly began. Hours after the final walk of Yu Menglong, something unusual happened. The world didn't move on. There were no distractions. No shift in trends. The internet went deeper. Fans began replaying every second of the funeral footage. Slowing it down. Zooming in. rewatching moments that seemed insignificant at first glance. Because grief does something strange to people. It makes them search for meaning, for closure, for anything that feels like one last connection. Remember that final video? The one where Yu Menglong looked into the camera and said, "If you're watching this, I hope you're smiling." At first it felt like a simple goodbye. But then, a fan noticed something. In the reflection behind him, barely visible, almost hidden in the blur, there was movement. Not random movement. Deliberate. Within hours, clips of that moment flooded social media. Zoomed. Stabilized. Enhanced. And what fans found sent chills through millions. Behind Yu Menglong, faint but unmistakable, were handwritten words on a mirror. "Wait until the end." At first people thought it was fake. Edited. Manipulated. But then multiple versions surfaced. From different recordings, different angles, different broadcasts. And they all showed the same thing. Wait until the end. What end? The video had already ended. The funeral was over. So what was he talking about? That's when someone noticed something even stranger. The official broadcast of the funeral wasn't actually over. There were 12 seconds at the very end, barely noticeable, often skipped by viewers. But those who stayed saw it. The screen went black. No music. No text. Just silence. And then, a soft sound. Footsteps. Slow. Echoing. Fading in. And a voice. His voice. But different. Quieter. Almost like a whisper carried from far away. Not everything ends when it ends. The static. Cut. Gone. Within minutes, the internet split into two sides. They were convinced this wasn't coincidence. They believed Yu Menglong had left something behind. A hidden message. A final layer. A deeper truth waiting to be uncovered. They called it overanalysis. Grief turning into imagination. A desperate attempt to hold on to something that was already gone. A name started trending unexpectedly. Xingfei. She had been silent since the news broke. No posts. No statements. Nothing. Till now. At exactly midnight, Xingfei posted a single image. No caption. No explanation. Just a photo. It was blurry. Dimly lit. But unmistakable. A mirror. With 3 words written across it. The end isn't here. Fans immediately connected the dots. Wait until the end. Not everything ends when it ends. The end isn't here. This wasn't random anymore. This was a pattern. A message. A continuation. People began asking, did Yu Menglong know something before his death? Was this planned? Why leave clues instead of a direct message? And most chilling of all, what happens next? Meanwhile, those closest to him were struggling. Some broke their silence in quiet, heartbreaking ways. A co-star was seen leaving the funeral hours later, unable to speak, tears streaming uncontrollably. Another posted a black screen with just one line. "You promised we'd talk again." No names. No context. But fans understood. Or at least, they thought they did. And then came the detail that pushed everything even further. During the funeral, placed gently beside the casket, was a small object many had overlooked. A silver pendant. Simple. Engraved. At first it seemed like a personal item. But when zoomed in, the engraving read, 1217. Within hours, a new theory exploded. What if 1217 wasn't just a number? What if it was a time? A date? A countdown? And if it was, then something was still coming. Suddenly, grief turned into anticipation. Pain mixed with curiosity. And millions of people around the world found themselves asking the same question. Is this really the end? Or just the beginning of something we don't understand yet? For hours, the world waited. No distractions. No new trends. No escape. Just one number echoing across millions of screens. 1217. It didn't matter where you were. In crowded cities. In quiet rooms. Or on late-night buses. In classrooms pretending to focus. Everyone was watching the clock. But somehow, some way, it felt like Yu Menglong had left behind something unfinished. And 12:17 was the key. 12:16. Live streams began popping up everywhere. Fans gathered in digital spaces, counting down together like it was New Year's Eve, but without joy. Only tension. Only questions. Only that heavy feeling in the chest that no one could explain. 12:17. And then, it happened. Across multiple platforms, something strange occurred at the exact same second. Videos froze. Audio distorted. Screens flickered. At first, people thought it was a coincidence. A server issue. A glitch. But then, a black screen appeared. Not just on one livestream. Not just on one channel. But everywhere. Out of the darkness, a familiar image slowly faded in. A dimly lit room. A mirror. And standing in front of it was him, Yu Menglong. The room went silent across the world. Because this wasn't old footage. It wasn't from a drama. It wasn't something fans had seen before. This was new, clear, undeniable, and yet impossible. He looked directly into the camera. No background music. No edits. No performance. Just him. And then he spoke. If you made it this far, then you didn't just watch. You listened. Pause. A breath. And then, but the truth isn't in what you saw. It's in what you missed. As he stepped slightly aside, the mirror behind him became fully visible. And written across it, clearer than ever before, were the words, "Look closer." Within seconds, millions of viewers began rewatching everything. The funeral footage. The first video. The final 12 seconds. Every frame, every reflection, every shadow. Because now it was clear. This wasn't just a goodbye. This was a trail. And then, someone found it. A single frame. Buried deep inside the original funeral broadcast. So quick it was invisible at normal speed. But when slowed down, there it was. Flash. Boom. A door. And a number on that door. 317. Fans immediately connected it. 12:17. Room 317. This wasn't random. This was deliberate. Speculation exploded. Was room 317 a real place? A hotel? A hospital? A private residence? Or something else entirely? And more importantly, what was inside it? But beneath all the theories, the emotional weight grew heavier. Because now grief had turned into something more complex. Hope, confusion, obsession, and a desperate need for answers. People weren't just mourning Yu Menglong anymore. They were following him. As the mysterious broadcast began to fade, he spoke one last time. Some stories don't end where you think they do. And just like that, the screen cut to black. No explanation. No follow-up. No confirmation. Just silence. This wasn't over. Not even close. Because now the entire world was asking one question. What is in room 317? The number wouldn't leave anyone alone. 317. It echoed in comments, captions, livestream titles, whispered conversations, late-night searches. People wrote it on notebooks. On mirrors. On their own hands. But somehow, it felt like more than a clue. It felt like a door. 3 hours after the broadcast at 12:17, a new post appeared online. From an unknown account. No profile picture. No history. No followers. Just a username. Underscore 317 unlocked. And a single caption. I think I found it. Attached was a photo. Blurry. Dark. But unmistakable. A door. With the number. 317. Within minutes the post exploded. Millions flooded the account. Refreshing. Zooming. Analyzing. Because this wasn't theory anymore. This was real. At first no one could identify the location. The walls looked old. The lighting felt cold. The hallway, empty. But then someone noticed something small. Almost invisible. A sign at the edge of the photo. Written in faint characters. And just like that, the location was traced. A quiet, almost forgotten building on the outskirts of the city. Not famous. Not important. Just there. Waiting. At 2:08 a.m. the account went live. No introduction. No explanation. Just a shaky camera moving down a dim hallway. People from around the world joined instantly. Thousands. Hundreds of thousands. Millions. No one spoke. No one typed. They just watched. Step by step the camera moved forward. The sound of footsteps echoed. Too loud, too clear. The same kind of sound people heard in the final 12 seconds of the funeral broadcast. That detail alone sent chills through everyone watching. And then, the camera stopped. Right in front of it. Room 317. The number was slightly worn. The paint around it cracked. like it hadn't been touched in years. The person behind the camera hesitated. You could hear their breathing. Fast. And even. Then slowly. The hand reached forward. And turned the handle. The door creaked open. And what was inside was not what anyone expected. No furniture. No decorations. No signs of life. Just a bare room. Cold. Silent. So, the camera moved inside. Slowly scanning the walls. Left. Right. Nothing. Until it reached the far corner. There was a mirror. Standing alone. And written across it. The same words that had followed this entire story. Look closer. The camera moved closer. Closer. Until the reflection filled the screen. And that's when it happened. Something no one could explain. For a split second. The reflection didn't match. The room was empty. But in the mirror, there was someone standing behind the camera. The live stream froze. Not because of connection. Not because of lag. But exactly at that moment. It was meant to stop there. Screenshots spread instantly. Enhanced. Zoomed. Reposted. And the figure in the reflection became clear. Yu Menglong. Standing still. Looking directly into the mirror. Not smiling. Not speaking. Just there. No outro. No explanation. The account disappeared seconds later. Deleted. Gone. Like it never existed. People didn't know what to feel anymore. Grief. Fear. Hope. Confusion. Because now the story had crossed a line. From emotional to something far deeper. Was this all planned? A story carefully built, piece by piece? A final performance that blurred the line between reality and illusion? Or was it something else entirely? The world may never agree on what really happened. But everyone agrees on one thing. This wasn't just a farewell. It was a mystery. A message. A legacy that refused to end. Because even now, people are still searching. Still rewatching. Still asking, did we really see the truth? Or just the beginning of something we don't understand?